And it's the beautiful thing that we have, and in general, that because we read the Torah portions having to do with Egypt and Exodus, leaving Egypt, we read it now, a couple or few months before actual Passover. So we get to be involved with the Passover narrative at least twice a year. In fact, the real there's a mitzvah to remember the leaving of Egypt every day. It's part of six memory. It's Sheish Zechirot. It's called the six items to remember throughout a day, every day. And we invoke it in our prayers every day, and we invoke it in our Shabbat prayers particularly, and in Kiddush. But certainly, not only mention it, but we really unpack it 2 times a year. Again, these few Torah portions from 3 weeks ago, Shemot, till now, till next week, which will be Matan Torah, giving of the Torah, right? So it's Egypt with all the labor and servitude, and with the 10 plagues. Then there's Exodus of Egypt, 7 days going through the desert till splitting of the Red Sea. Then another 6 weeks later in the original timeline of events, and then 6 weeks later was giving of the Torah, 10 Commandments, and the whole Torah at Mount Sinai. So that's the multi-part arc of the narrative. And as we'll see, they're all connected. It's all, one leads to the other. So it's just amazing. Like, it's almost like it's like the warm-up, preparing already now for Passover, for Pesach. And because even though we're in the thick of winter, in general, Pesach is like, you could say, it's the climax of the Jewish, of all Jewish holidays. And there's also so many laws and rituals involved around it that it takes a long time to prepare. Some people begin preparing things already now. Traditionally, you start from the end of Hanukkah, like the matzah bakeries start baking matzahs already from like end of Hanukkah. Some people begin preparing things in the house even. Maybe if they want to make their own special wine or things for Passover, they're already starting now. Or even if they want to obsessively clean out their house, they're already doing it now. In fact, just remember that there's a story, I think they say it with R Chaim of Brisk, the Rabbi Chaim Soloveichik, who was the Rav in Brisk, that so back in the shtetl days, they wouldn't use oil for Passover, but they would use schmaltz. But in order to have enough schmaltz for Passover, you have to start collecting it early enough. So they would start collecting it from the end of Hanukkah and on. So the story goes that a simple housewife came to the Rav, to Reb Chaim Brisker, all hysterical, like she came like sometime maybe like a few weeks before Passover. What's the issue? The issue is that she forgot to start collecting the schmaltz for Passover right after Hanukkah, and it's already weeks later, and it's just a few weeks before Passover. What's going to be? Because she started collecting the schmaltz now, and if she does, will it be kosher enough? And she was all really distressed about it. So Reb Chaim was there with his students. In general, it's known Reb Chaim Brisker he had an open house policy. He, unlike many rabbis, where their home is their very private place, Reb Chaim Soloveichik was known. He even had like homeless people and widows and people just living in his house. That's how open he was. So this woman's in his study, and Reb Chaim has his students there too, and she's asking the Rabbi Chaim, what should she do? She didn't prepare all the schmaltz early enough, and the students on the side are just like trying, just barely containing their laughter, because they know there is no law about this. There is not even a custom about it. It's just a practical thing to have enough schmaltz for Passover. You start from after Hanukkah, but nowhere does it say so. You should do this, etc. But she's taking it like it's like this serious law. But Reb Chaim, to their dismay, he puts on a serious face, starts stroking his beard, and he goes to his big bookshelf, starts taking down one book after another book, looking up, turning pages, thinking about it. And then finally, after a few minutes, he looks up and tells her, madame, I found a way to say that a leniency, a way to say that yes, that it is kosher if you start to collect the shmaltz now. But remember, don't forget that don't do this again. You have to be careful about this. But I found a way it's kosher. She leaves all happy. She'll have a beautiful Passover. After she leaves, the students ask him, Rabbi, like, why? We all know that there is no such law. And it's just, why did you make it such a serious issue? No, it's like it was almost comical. Like, why did you take it so seriously? So the Rabbi R Chaim said, "Look, guys, she doesn't know what's important or not in the laws. If I responded to her in a lackadaisical way, or even certainly in a comical way, or laughing it off, or even telling her that what are you bringing silly question to me or anything like that, that would turn her off from ever coming back again to ask a question at a time when it may be really serious, because she cannot distinguish what is a law, what's a custom, what's not even a custom. So therefore, did it this way. So for the future, that she'll feel that she could trust the rabbi to come back to for more questions. I mean, I'm just mentioning this story just to point out that preparations for Passover would even begin in the thicket of winter. So here too, we start studying also in the beginning of even about Passover, even in the winter. Even at time, even before Tu B'Shvat. Incidentally, with R Chaim, I think it's with him also a story that someone came to him about Passover also, asking, Rabbi, can I fulfill the obligation of drinking 4 cups of wine for the Seder with 4 cups of milk? So R Chaim said this. He said, no, you can't, but I have a special funder for the situation, so you could get wine. And he took out a lot of money, not just money to purchase wine, but he got a whole bunch gave him a substantial amount of money. And so then 2 students asked him, why did you give him so much funds? And he answered, because someone who he didn't come to ask me about milk. I could tell he must be so poor that he doesn't even have money to make an entire Seder or to do anything for Passover. So therefore, it's not just about the milk versus wine, but it was a signal that this person was in great need, and therefore he helped him out. See, that is the way a real rabbi should be, not just someone who knows the texts and the laws, what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, and which is the manual of how to follow the law, but to know how to read between the lines, meaning how to read the person between the lines. What is the real needs of the individual coming for with their questions. That's a real rabbi. There was people like Rabbi Moshe Feinstein of blessed memory who was like that, and others. Those are the true rabbis. And again, it's not about finding leniencies. It's about understanding and caring for the person's practical and spiritual needs. In a way, this way of leadership, we could say, is also what Moses carried. He even knew when to challenge God, so to speak, for the benefit of the Jewish people, and even take it for them.